Hello and welcome to Don't Bury the Lead. We recap WWE SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. But tonight is a special night. We're going to be doing something a little different here. We will be recapping, I should say, rather than recap, we're going to be doing our segment Cheap Heat, where we talk about trending topics in WWE, AEW, other aspects of wrestling. My name's John Zendel. I'm joined by Dom Scarcella. Dom, go ahead and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
John, it is Money in the Bank weekend in WWE land, and that's a teaser for something we may get to a little bit later, a little preview of that premium live event. But for now, we've got news from around the world of pro wrestling to get to. So, John, don't bury the lead. What are we going to get to first here? Heat.
Dom, we don't ever bury the lead. And our lead is going to be Ric Flair and a series of matches he mentioned that he really enjoyed during his career, and rather wrestlers that he enjoyed wrestling in his career. Dom, you want to take this article away?
Sure, this comes to us from WrestleZone. They are talking about an interview that Ric Flair gave to Joseph Acosta of SB Nation. There's the Nature Boy, a very current picture there, but of course he has wrestled for decades. And so when asked about his favorite opponents, he mentioned Ricky Steamboat and Sting right off the bat. And if you were going to make a list of Flair opponents, I think everybody would have Steamboat and Sting on the list. He also mentioned Bruiser Brody in Japan. What great feuds do you remember Ric Flair being in? And this can be from anywhere in his long career, because he's talking mostly about guys who he wrestled back in his NWA days. Even Sting started in the NWA days. But of course, Flair wrestled for WWE for a long time. For instance, he was in TNA Impact, and he's currently affiliated with AEW, even though he's not an in-ring wrestler. So what do you remember about Ric Flair that's not Steamboat or Sting?
Dom, it's a great question. I don't know if you're having a little deja vu here, but HBK is an opponent that comes to mind. Shawn Michaels, he's a guy, late in his career and Flair's career, they had a really cool feud and basically retired him for the first time. There's a really cool part where, at the end of the match, when Shawn Michaels says, "I love you, I'm sorry," and does the super kick. And, it's kind of one of those iconic finishing moments of like a WWE match in the later years of like post Attitude Era. With Flair, there's so many decades, and there's also so many different promotions where he's had standout, matches with and standout people that he's been able to work with in the past. So, really interesting to see, like, really interesting to ask about this, where, you have a situation where this guy's wrestled forever, and you start to look through the list of wrestlers that he's wrestled. It's pretty remarkable. How about you, Dom? Any wrestlers that
I like that you went more modern. That's a good call, because Flair went old for him his career. I like the HBK thing. That was a great WrestleMania match and build to it, and it was a great Flair match because Flair was the guy who, wrestling as a heel for most of his career, would get sympathy for the other guy. And in that match, of course, people had such great sympathy for Flair because they thought it was going to be his last match. And that was just a wonderful, wonderful match to watch. Thank you, Nick, who's there in the live chat. If you are watching us live right now, tell us Name a great Ric Flair opponent from somewhere in his career. I'm going to go way out of left field here and give you one, and it's also from later in his career. I don't know that they wrestled all that often. I think they may have gotten in the ring at least once. But if you find video clips online of Ric Flair and Jay Lethal from TNA Impact when Jay Lethal was doing his Nature Boy impressions, it is fantastically entertaining.
Yeah.
Just wonderful. There's not a lot of wrestling going on, not a lot of Dave Meltzer 5-star matches going on there, but it's wildly entertaining. It's really endearing if you're a Flair fan to see that someone else put that much effort into mimicking Ric Flair and trying to bring out, all of the over-the-top antics that people remember and have come to enjoy about Flair. So that's a good one. I'll throw one way back as well. Ric Flair versus Terry Funk in the late NWA, early WCW days, only because Terry Funk was one of the few wrestlers who could get enough heat as a heel to turn Ric Flair babyface. They had a great feud in which Ric Flair was the babyface. And it actually culminated with Flair and Sting in a tag team against Terry Funk and the Great Muta in a steel cage. So, Terry Funk was able to bring that out of Ric Flair as well. That was a lot of fun. So tell us in the chat if you're watching the recording in the archive at YouTube. Tell us in the comments, do you have a favorite opponent, a favorite feud that Ric Flair was in? As we pivot here and move into the second big series of questions that Flair was asked in this interview here. The Nature Boy also shared the list of current stars he loves to watch. It included his daughter, Charlotte Flair, MJF, Randy Orton, and more. So he's picking like each of the major promotions here. He mentions AJ Styles as well, who he also feuded with in TNA Impact. They were both there at the same time. MJF, the Young Bucks, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy. He's really got the three major promotions covered here. The three modern major promotions covered here. Leaving aside that these are just Flair's favorites, who would you put on the list of favorite wrestlers that you like to watch, or maybe best wrestlers nowadays that you would want to watch, John?
Yeah, I do want to call out Jay Lethal. Not only had that great exchange with Flair, but he also did his retirement match, his second retirement match, where he did Flair's last match. He was in a tag team with Andrade and Jeff Jarrett. It was Jeff Jarrett.
That's
and
right. It
Jay
was
Lethal.
Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, right?
Versus,
what a great call out. I forgot that.
Yeah, so that was really cool. This was, and I said this, like, the really good retirement match was HBK and Ric Flair. The really suspect retirement match was him as a very, very, very old man in Flair's last match. There was a big draw. There was people in the crowd for it, but it was a bit of a freak show, But at that stage when like someone is 20 years or like 15, 20 years past their prime and they're still going out there wrestling, that's kind of the expectation, right?
He was in his 70s.
Yeah.
He was at least 30 years past his prime. I mean, almost like 80s to early 90s Ric Flair is his prime. So yeah, he was about 3 decades past it.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
Sorry.
So
I blew past your question.
Stars he mentions. Of these great stars that he likes to watch here, his daughter Charlotte, MJF, Randy Orton, AJ Styles, the Young Bucks, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy. Good mix of AEW, WWE, and even AJ Styles, of course, was back in TNA Impact when he and Flair crossed paths. I still likes watching him today, of course. Who would you put on a list of your favorite stars to watch nowadays, especially since you watch a lot of AEW in addition to WWE? Who would you put on a favorite guys to watch nowadays list?
Well, it's funny because he wrestled at a time when the women's were pretty unwatchable, so you can put women on this list too now that are really good.
Sure.
I'll go with my list. um, got to start with AEW with MJF for
There you
sure.
go.
I like their champ Swerve Strickland a lot. I think it's pretty cool to
Okay.
see I like him because he isn't your stereotypical baby face that you'd get in the WWE maybe a decade back that's fairly clean cut and like doing a lot of the right things like John Cena-esque, where Swerve Strickland has a bit of an edge
Okay.
to him. He does a lot of he's bleeding all over the place sometimes. He's going to people's houses and he actually threatened a baby child in one of his like promo segments where he goes to Hangman Adam Page's house. He's like, I know where your son lives at. And he goes to like this the bed and goes to where the son's at. And it's like, yeah, there's our hero. So there's like some elements of him that's not squeaky clean. And I like that about Swerve Strickland. Maybe shifting to WWE, it's a Don't Bury the Lead original. L.A. Knight.
Right.
And
that's right. His coming out party was our first live stream back at the end of September 2022. Yeah.
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 Yeah. You just say, yeah. Everyone just says, yeah. He's like super over. And then you could even say, like, with the women's division, WWE, it might be more stacked at the men's division. Maybe I'll throw, let's see, from the women's division lately, who I've liked is Bianca Belair. And this is like recently because she has to do a lot. And what I think it's just so impressive that she's doing so much. How about you? How about modern day wrestlers that you're liking?
Favorites that I've had to watch. LA Knight's going to be there. Yes. It's too bad that Charlotte is hurt right now. So is Rhea Ripley. They are always entertaining. They had what I thought was match of the year last year at WrestleMania 39.
Right.
So they're great to watch. I enjoy the heck out of Gunther and Sami Zayn.
Oh, Gunther, I forgot. How could I forget?
Gunther, because he's been on Raw for more than a year. We don't get to see him a lot. Same thing with Sami Zayn. I think they're fantastic. They're always entertaining. I would also mention, I think Io Sky has really grown on me. I didn't know if she could be a singles performer, but it turns out that she's a fantastic wrestler. She's a little on the small side, but just to watch a match with Io Sky in it, it's she's really, really elevated her game as a singles wrestler. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. And I do want to mention someone else who you've talked about a lot to me. Will Ospreay.
Yeah.
What do you think about Will Ospreay being on that list? You mentioned a couple of AEW guys, MJF and Swerve Strickland. Where would you put Will Ospreay? He gets a great write-up here in the Metro. I think he is from the UK, isn't he? So this is kind of some hometown or at least home country coverage for him, the Metro out of UK. Talking about his autism superpower. Help me become the best wrestler in the world. Would you put him up near in that best wrestler in the world conversation, Will Ospreay?
Yo, absolutely. He's been so over in AEW, and he is really, really hyper athletic, is the way I would put it. He just does all of the stuff that you would see like Ricochet, but way more over from a personality standpoint. Like he just goes out there and he starts screaming and he's just being himself, and it's just like, wow, this really works. It's with the accent. He's always saying bruv. It's just such a great gimmick. Instead of like, man, hey bruv, and it's like BRUV is a really good catchphrase. Instead of brother,
is he
bruv.
shortening Hulk Hogan's brother to bruv?
It is basically the Hogan thing. Instead of saying brother, he says bruv. And it's like, oh, that's a good spin on it. And I think it's something that the kids are saying these days, so that's helpful. No, but he's
great photos in here too. You found this article and sent it to me. Some great photos in here from that the Metro was able to put up here. Then they have a little section on what is autism, because they were talking about him having autism, struggling to verbalize how you feel for instance, taking things literally. How is he as a promo? Because I guess if he was in a spontaneous conversation, this thing here may be a problem for him. How does he come off as a promo when you've seen him?
Great. Really. Very good.
Okay.
Very electric and very like but it's a little bit more of the 80s style promo where the guys are screaming and they're all fired up and they're just
Okay.
but it feels a little bit more off the cuff, which is helpful. It's not like he's saying different lines necessarily. He usually goes out there with Renee boy.
Renee Moxley good?
Yeah, Renee Moxley. Yeah, let's call her that. She goes out with Renee, and she really puts him in a good spot. I have to say, she does a great job with a lot of the workers. But yeah, so from a promo perspective, I think he's really good.
Excellent. It says here having a very keen interest in certain activities or subject. Yeah, if he has that for pro wrestling, that would help. He seems very crisp in his matches, right? I mean, this is a guy who gets the fundamentals, even though he may not be a traditional style pro wrestler. He seems like a high flyer the way you've described him and some of the clips I've seen. He seems very, or would you say he's a very precise athlete in there as far as what he's doing? He's not a guy who's just all over the place and sloppy.
No, he's not sloppy at all, which is
okay.
Which is so nuts about him. He's very physical. He's very stiff. And he's very physical, very stiff, and he's just hyper athletic. Again, like Ricochet 2.0, you know.
Okay.
But there's some stuff with him, and I thought this article was really interesting because everyone's talks about autism now. Like it's not like this death sentence. Let's just say not, where you're like, oh, you have autism, you can't do anything. It's like he's probably the best wrestler in the world. You could argue he's the best wrestler in the world, and he's openly autistic, and he's like talking about it, which is interesting. I had like no idea, but to kind of overcome that and really to utilize some of the aspects of autism that are different than, like, let's just say an average person, but lets them utilize a different strength within themselves. It's just a fascinating read, I thought.
What championships does he currently hold, if any? Are you up on what belts they've put on him recently?
Oh boy. So he's got the international championship. AEW has a really bad problem. Everyone has a belt. It's a little bit like the Oprah Winfrey
national champion.
Yeah. It's a little bit like the Oprah Winfrey show. Like, you get a belt, and you get a belt, and you get a belt, and you get a belt. But yeah, that's the thing with AEW. So having a belt in AEW they don't do a great job with like protecting like what the belt means. They just all seem to have them. But
all right.
he's been on their like main events for Dynamites. He's ripped it up. He wrestled Daniel Garcia this past main event or on Dynamite and has been really good. And he might have had the match of the year with Daniel Bryanson.
Really? Okay. Where was that? Was that an AEW thing or one of their cross promotions?
Bryan Danielson, excuse me.
Yes.
It was no, it was their pay-per-view. It was a pay-per-view maybe one or two pay-per-views ago. I forget which one it was specifically.
Okay.
Yeah, they completely tore it up, the two of them.
Okay. Very good. Hey, Will Ospreay, put him on that list here. Here's a Will Ospreay segue for you. This also comes to us from WrestleZone. Billy Gunn talking about maybe having an retirement match. He also talked about having a couple of stress fractures in his back. I'm not sure how that happens. Is he talking about vertebrae, tailbone? Sounds very serious. But he was mentioning when he finally retires, maybe he'd like it to be Will Ospreay who retires him. Do you think Billy Gunn could get in there at his age, from what you've seen in AEW, assuming that his back is healed enough for him to do it and he doesn't have a broken back. Do you think he could get in there with Will Ospreay and have a fun, entertaining retirement match?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't even know that he should retire. That's how good he looks right now.
Okay.
He has done. He's unbelievable when he's in there, and he lines up in the tag matches. He is probably the biggest guy out there. At his age, he's still just jacked, crazy jacked. It's nuts. But
right now he's saying, I have no problem being the Acclaimed sidekick. So him being a mouthpiece, almost a manager, like an older brother in the group, the voice of wisdom, perhaps. So he has no problem doing that. But you're saying that he can still get in there when he has to and compete physically and not embarrass himself, give himself a good showing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good. Billy Gunn. We remember him. He was with Badass Billy Gunn and
the Road
Dogg. They were part of Degeneration X. Well, that was probably what he's best known for, but still going strong in AEW. Excellent work.
Yeah, he's done really good in AEW.
Moving right along, Shinsuke Nakamura showed up at UFC 303. He made an appearance. He accompanied Soroya Ray in his match there. I'm not going to play this because we get flagged when we play other people's videos. But there is Shinsuke. I'm guessing that is Ray Soraya there. Apparently, Ray Soraya won the match. Came out to the WWE Superstars theme music for UFC 303. Do you think, does this seem like it's something that was helped by UFC and WWE having the same parent company? Would this have been more difficult to pass off before the merger than it is now? What say you from a fan perspective?
Yeah, I think it would have been more difficult only because at certain points, UFC and WWE viewed each other as competitors.
Yeah.
So when they were competitors, maybe that wasn't so clean. But now that they're owned by the same parent company, I'm sure it's going to be like they're going to want them to do all kinds of stuff. We've seen some UFC guys at WWE events too.
Mm-hmm.
So probably a good way to get a payday if you're, let's just say let's say, for example, you're in the UFC, you don't have a lot of fights coming up. You want to get a payday. You want to get something out of being on that roster. And then same thing with Shinsuke Nakamura. Haven't seen a lot of him. So usually when you don't see a lot of the guys, they're doing something, right? They're doing something within the company that's not wrestling related.
It gives them a chance to get on TV, get on social media. They're in the news for some reason. Yeah, it can't hurt. It's good publicity. The WWE superstar mentioned enjoying the atmosphere at the UFC event. Nakamura also noted that he was once approached to fight in the USA, but remained faithful to, at the time, New Japan Pro Wrestling. However, he desired to have at least one fight in the UFC. We've seen some wrestlers cross over into mixed martial arts and vice versa, and some guys try and straddle the line between both for a while simultaneously. Probably most notably Brock Lesnar for a while, but also Bobby Lashley had more than a dozen MMA battles in, I think it was Bellator, while he was also actively wrestling for TNA Impact. CM Punk has tried it going in that direction. Of course, there were early mixed martial artists like Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock who came over into wrestling. Tank Abbott in WCW. Would you like to see Shinsuke Nakamura give it a go in UFC if, of course, he wants to fulfill that goal of his? Do you think he'd be pretty decent?
Well, they have had, some people that have been wildly successful at it, like Brock Lesnar, and there have been people that were just awful at it, like CM Punk. CM Punk is not a athlete. Like, he's not an athletic person. So,
not like that.
Yes. He's got no background. They put him in the UFC. He's got like a blue belt in jujitsu, which is like jujitsu. It's kind of something old wrestlers do after work now. It's not really.
Okay.
It's not necessarily the. I would put it like this: with CM Punk's lack of athleticism, coupled with no experience at all with wrestling or fighting or anything, to throw him in the UFC was a sin. But if Shinsuke Nakamura has some previous training and has actually been in fights in lower levels and won, then it would make sense. But if he's just a guy that is an actor, that's not such a great idea. Like like Sylvester Stallone shouldn't box. He's an actor.
He played a boxer in a movie. That doesn't mean he can actually be a boxer. Yes. Wonderful. That analysis of CM Punk's athleticism brought to you by Drew McIntyre. Very good.
Oh, yeah, right. I know. That just sounds like something Drew would probably target.
No, I love it. I love it. It's fantastic. Yes, we hope that Shinsuke, if he decides to do this, veers far away from the CM Punk end of the spectrum. There. Speaking of wrestlers who have been in the public eye outside of the wrestling ring, Mercedes Moné, we've talked about her before being at the Celtics NBA Finals clinching game and getting some good social media views out of that. TMZ Sports caught up with her again. I am not playing this. She, in this very brief person on the street interview, talked about how many opportunities she has at AEW, and they tried to bait her into saying, "Are you going back to WWE? Would you like to do that?" And she's like, "No, I see so many opportunities in AEW." You've watched AEW. Has her appearance and I guess long-term commitment to AEW, has it been a hit so far or a miss or somewhere in between?
I've liked it so far because she's had with AEW, their weakness is the women's division.
Okay.
For sure. And I think that at one point years ago, the women's division wasn't as important. But I think with the success with the WWE and their women's division, they actually have women that can wrestle matches. So it's been a big need that they filled with having a woman that can that's good in the ring. She had a great intro in Boston. She's had a really good match. I think probably the best match of the pay-per-view with Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné.
Okay, very good.
I think that, it's been a good relationship between the two of them. And of course, TMZ is just trying to get her to say something silly.
Sure. And of course, Mercedes Moné has the belt with her. We've noticed this recently, people bringing the belt places. It's Liv Morgan and Mercedes Moné. They're just going places with the belt.
I like it.
Yeah, me too. I like it.
You feel a little bit like they're in their gimmick more when they have the belt. It's like, yeah, I just carry this around because I'm the champ. Like, she looks like, look at her, like with the hair, and it's not like she's just in a hoodie and, got her hair back. No, it's like she has the necklace. It says Monet.
Yeah, right.
She's 100% doing the gimmick.
She is decked out in bling. She's got the belt. This is fantastic. Coming soon.net. Mercedes Moné and apparently cross paths with Shane McMahon. And so this, of course, starts the rumor mill. Is Shane McMahon going to AEW? I mean, the McMahon family is basically out of the WWE corporation at this point. I mean, Paul Levesque by marriage is in the family, but Vince, Linda, Shane, even Stephanie. Stephanie made a brief appearance at WrestleMania just to talk people up, but the other McMahons are kind of gone. Do you, especially after being seen with AEW star Mercedes Moné, growing speculation that Shane McMahon is potential involvement with AEW began with Conrad Thompson, host of Grilling JR podcast, mutual friends, talking about saying that he had sources that Shane was reaching out to several AEW wrestlers. Apparently, he and Mercedes Moné crossed paths in LaGuardia Airport in New York City. So they were seen chatting together. Perhaps they go back to when Shane was still involved in WWE, when Mercedes Moné was there as Sasha Banks. I don't know, but this is intriguing stuff. I mean, everybody's fair game, right? I mean, Shane McMahon could show up in AEW, right? What do you think? Tell us in the chat if you're watching live. Tell us in the comments if you're watching the archived recording of this over at the YouTube channel. And please like us there on YouTube if you want to get all of our best stuff, including these live streams.
Sorry, just I coughed, so I muted. Yeah, I'll tell you what. It would be completely insane to see Shane McMahon there. But now that I'm looking at this scenario, it's like he doesn't have a huge affiliation with WWE, and it's not like Vince stepped down and said goodbye, and he got like a big ceremony. It was like, no, he got it canned.
Yeah.
So ultimately, it would be really, really interesting to see what they would do with Shane McMahon, or just to have McMahon there, and McMahon there in general at AEW would be really crazy. I'd imagine that Shane McMahon has almost an infinite amount of money, so I don't think it's going to be a financial thing. It's more like, hey, you want to like get back into wrestling, do something with wrestling. You can do it in AEW.
Tony Khan has stated that Shane is always welcome in All Elite Wrestling, and with McMahon recently spotted alongside their star Mercedes Moné, the likelihood of Shane coming to All Elite Wrestling appears to be increasing. So this is comingsoon.net, just jumping on the rumor mill here, and that's cheap heat, right? That's up our alley.
This is some cheap heat. I did see like this kind of posted on Reddit, and people were like, yeah, I don't know if this is really true though. Like people will think like this is all hearsay and rumor. Yeah. The only thing that gives it any legitimacy is JR talking about it, and then Tony Khan being asked and saying like, yeah, he could come. Like, I don't know.
He's welcome.
He's extending an olive branch, but it'd probably be more on Shane than Tony, right? Why wouldn't Tony Khan want him versus why would Shane bother?
Yes. Like a risk reward for everybody. Big upside for Tony to do it if the price were right. You wonder what the upside is for Shane McMahon to do it.
Yeah.
So that is a good question. SmackDown this evening for July 5th is, I believe, the first one without Kayla Braxton. She said her goodbyes at the last SmackDown of June. I love my WWE family. Thank you guys so much. Of course, one of the backstage interviewers. I'm overwhelmed. I will miss you all, but we'll see each other again. Gave a nice Instagram send-off as well, thanking everybody. Banter with Paul Heyman became the stuff of legend. Yes, it was. That was always fun. Yeah. She was always a good straight person for Paul Heyman to be his usual Paul Heyman self. Some good photos. There's Paul Levesque, of course, the man with 3 H's, who is rumored to have joined us on our live stream at some point. But excellent stuff here.
Is this? I wonder. So she's retiring?
She's, I think, going off to do other things. So she's just kind of retiring from WWE, it seems. She's still young, has a career ahead of her, but apparently that was her swan song as a WWE on-air talent, as in a backstage interviewer. And we've noted, you especially have noted the increase in WWE's production value the last few months. And some of it has to do with how they do backstage stuff. And, people like Kayla Braxton are part of that. Kayla Becker. She's part of that, having good people who can act as that straight person backstage to let the talent play off of them in the interviews.
Yeah.
She did her job. She did it well. And the people she worked with seem to have appreciated her.
Maybe she has maybe she has a better opportunity. Maybe the pay's not so great there, combined with being on the road 24/7. That's got to just be, I think it takes a special person to want to be on the road constantly. And being city to city and then performing like that. So I get the reason, like, oh, it seems like a pretty sweet gig, but then you're also like, you're sleeping in different hotels every week. So maybe
New city every Friday, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like it's the rock star life in a sense. There you go. So very good for her. Rob Van Dam. This comes to us from WrestleZone. Rob Van Dam wants to face Christian Cage, Adam Copeland, or Chris Jericho. I don't know if this is sort of a retirement match for him, a send off, but what do you think about these older wrestlers wanting to mix it up, maybe in a send off with another older wrestler from their generation rather than with some of the younger guys? Because Sting, when he got his send off, Darby Allin was his tag team partner. He faced the Young Bucks. It was young guys in there with him. We just mentioned a few stories ago Billy Gunn saying that he wants to get in there with Will Ospreay maybe for his retirement match, wrestle with one of the younger guys. What do you think of sort of these nostalgia matches with wrestler from a previous generation facing another wrestler from a previous generation?
They should
Even
do
though
them
these
more.
guys are still wrestling. What would you think about that?
I think they should do them more because it's one of these things where even if you want to look from like a realism standpoint, when Rob Van Dam goes in there against a giant in his mid-20s, you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess you could always look toward experience. But he's a bit older. And then if he matches up with Jericho, adversely, you're like, oh no, these guys both have the same body types. They're older. It makes a little bit more sense. And then also you have to look at it too, like there's something about nostalgia that's a big pop in pro wrestling. So if you have two old guys kind of wrestling each other, it's always a good opportunity for that. We see it all the time with like, we just talked about Sting. We were talking about him, but like Sting and Triple H at WrestleMania, that was a big nostalgia thing with with NWO and DX.
Some say too much nostalgia.
A little too much, yes. Okay, maybe it's a bad example.
No, I get you. It was Triple H and the Undertaker who had at least 2 WrestleMania matches, right? It was supposed to be kind of closing off that generation, that era.
Yes.
Maybe 10 years ago or so. So I know exactly what you mean. RVD, his quote here, you put me up against a young new guy, they get a rub. It's a good chance for them. I can still roll with them. That's cool. But if we had, say, RVD versus Edge, RVD versus Christian, RVD versus Jericho, I've had some outstanding matches with all of those guys, and I have no doubt that if we were to get in a ring again, it would be outstanding, and they wouldn't be one of the new young guys that doesn't quite follow the same rule book that I do. You change a few things, do a few things that wouldn't be acceptable before, they've adapted. There's something to, if both guys can still work or everybody involved can still work, there's something to these sort of generation matches where you see guys from a previous generation still get in there and be athletic and tell a good story. There still is something to that, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent. Okay. Which one of those 3 would be your favorite? RVD versus Adam Copeland, RVD versus Christian Cage, RVD versus Chris Jericho. Pick one of them. You can only have one. Which one would you want?
Oh. Well, I'll go ahead and say Christian Cage.
Okay.
I think that Christian Cage is on fire and has been still from a personality and a character standpoint. And then Rob Van Dam is just such a natural baby face, right? Okay. Like, I don't think he's ever worked heel, or he should never work heel. He's just something very likable stoner guy, right? How about you? Who would you pick?
I think that's a great call for what you said, that if RVD is going to be in there as a babyface, Christian Cage is doing some of the best work of his career right now as this awesome, like James Bond villain type heel. So I think your analysis was spot on. I second everything you said. I think that would be great. Yeah. I'd go for RVD versus Christian Cage.
Nice.
Shout out to everyone in the chat. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, man. We'll check out your channel too.
AKA the Sport Entertainment Guy. Wonderful. Glad to have you aboard here in the live chat there. Where was that coming in from? Because we're live streaming on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter.
He's on YouTube as well.
He is on YouTube. Excellent. Thank you.
And I'll check out your channel when we're done live streaming here, man. Really appreciate it, brother.
That's it for Cheap Heat. It was inexpensive. It was as warm as a 95-degree early July humid day in southern New Jersey that we're getting right now. It's Cheap Heat.
Cheap Heat.
Yes. Sprinkle that stuff everywhere.
Yeah, and great news, Dom, is this is a little inside baseball here, but your connection really started to come through toward the middle and end where there was no issues. So
very good.
I think we got it.
Then we are ready. Mm-hmm. Do you want to go in maybe a preview of Money in the Bank this weekend? We are recording this on Friday, July 5th. What say you?
Yes. We're going to do a special segment here, folks, because we typically will do SmackDown. We recap SmackDown every Friday night after the bell. But tonight's a special night. We're talking about Money in the Bank, and we're doing a special preview show. So we're going to go but one match by match here and select who we think is going to be the winner of the match.
Ooh, we're going to do that. Before we do that, though, I have a question for you. Let's look at the card here. There's 5 matches here. World Heavyweight Champion Damian Priest versus Seth freaking Rollins. Don't know that the freaking is necessary. A 6-man tag, Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, and Kevin Owens versus the Bloodline. The men's Money in the Bank ladder match. The women's Money in the Bank ladder match. And Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. Which of those 5 are you most interested in seeing?
This is one of my favorite gimmick pay-per-views. It might be my... it's up there. Second favorite, maybe.
With Royal Rumble?
Yeah. Royal Rumble might be 1. But I love the Money in the Bank because of all the different avenues it opens up as far as like a storyline perspective. Like, when will they cash in the Money in the Bank? Whenever they cash in the Money in the Bank, it's awesome. Mm-hmm. We saw it with Io Sky last year at SummerSlam. Yes. That was really cool. I actually popped for that. I was like, yes, Io, do it. And then she did it. It was like, oh, awesome. Yep. So I love the Money in the Bank. So I'm going to just go with, let me stick with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match.
That's the one you're looking most forward to. Very good.
How about you? What are you most looking forward to?
I'm intrigued by Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. When Gunther was very new to the main roster, they put the IC belt on him for more than a year, 666 days. But Gunther had been having great matches in NXT for a while, both in NXT Europe or UK, whatever they called it, and then in NXT over in the US. So he seemed ready for a belt.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was also at a time when the IC belt wasn't maybe as prestigious as it became after Gunther held it.
Yeah.
Braun Breaker is also very new to the main roster, but he seems to be getting huge crowd reactions. I wonder if they'll put the belt on him and if he's ready for that belt. What do you know about Braun Breaker? Has he been a great wrestler in NXT, or was he just kind of this personality and athletic phenom that just kind of took hold? Did you think he'd be ready to win this belt from Sami Zayn? That's basically the question I have. I'll throw it out there to you, John. I'll throw it out to anybody who's in the live chat with us and anybody who's watching in the comments. I'm intrigued by this match, not only because I of course, very much enjoy watching Sami Zayn wrestle, but I'm intrigued to see if this becomes like a redoing of the Gunther formula where they say this guy's got so much potential. Let's give him a second tier belt pretty quickly. What say you? Do you think Braun Breaker's ready?
Yeah. I don't know.
That was a big, long-winded question. I'm sorry. I do that.
No. Can you hear me?
I can, absolutely. Yes.
Oh, I So with Braun Breaker, I've seen him do like 3 squashes. So I don't know how good of a wrestler he is. That doesn't mean he isn't a good wrestler or he is a good wrestler. I just haven't seen anything from him. It seems like when they put guys in these situations recently, they have stepped up. And there have been people that aren't even pro wrestlers that have stepped up, like Bad Bunny and Logan Paul. So I think, my gut says that Braun Breaker is ready if he is, but I haven't seen enough from him to even judge either way, to be 100% honest. What do you think, Dom?
I'm with you. What they've done with him on the main roster is have him be involved in very, very short matches, if they're even matches at all. So I'm intrigued in seeing it, because if he's going to have a great match, Sami Zayn's the guy to bring it out of him. Sami Zayn is one of those guys who can bring it out of him.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he does deliver in this match, okay, I'd be willing to take the ride and have him be the champion. What I wouldn't want to see is them put it on him too soon, like it appears they may have done with Austin Theory.
Yeah.
And then take the belt off of him, and he winds up in almost no man's land for a while, where he's just getting squashed. He's almost becoming the butt of jokes. Then they're trying to build him up again in a tag team with Grayson Waller. So I'd rather he not wind up in that doghouse.
Mm-hmm.
And no pun intended with him doing the barking at people and the woofing.
The sports entertainment guy, he just said that he's thinking about Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins as the best match of the night, and I wouldn't be too surprised at that either.
Okay, and do you like Damian Priest going to that? We mentioned Money in the Bank. Damian Priest is champion because he won the men's Money in the Bank last year and cashed it in at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's facing Seth Rollins. That's a good segue, John. You wanted to go down each one and pick winners. Let's start at the top of the card. Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins. Who you got there?
This one's crazy. I didn't even realize they were running this back. Or I should say having this match where they put Seth right up to the top.
Yep. Back from his injury, and they throw him right back into the title picture. Yeah.
It's really weird. Would he take another loss when he comes back? It's weird. I don't know if they're going to be able to do that to him. But then also, what else does he do? Like, do you just give him back the belt? Something goofy is going to happen here. I feel like something that happens here won't be clean. We're not going to get a clean winner. Maybe Damian Priest wins it through hook or crook.
That would be 2 in a row for Damian Priest winning like that. Clash at the Castle. He beat Drew McIntyre when something fishy happened there with CM Punk at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, this is
or maybe the Judgment Day blows it. I think the sports entertainment guy was alluding to them, like the Judgment Day blows it for him. I'll stick with this. This one's gonna be really tough. And that's always good when you don't really know. I say Damian Priest retains through hook or crook.
Okay.
How about you? What are you thinking?
I'd like to see Damian Priest retain. But the Seth Rollins specter hanging over the WWE, it's almost like whenever he's around, they have to give him a belt. I mean, they created this belt just to put it on him.
This is true.
Just
this is his belt.
Right? Roman had consolidated the 2 belts. He was the Universal Champ, and he wasn't wrestling that often. And they just wanted someone else. They just wanted another belt on TV, so they brought back this belt and gave it to Seth.
It's almost like Taz when they made the FTW belt.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, an ECW, and that still exists. But everyone was like, "Oh, what?" Like the stories backstage was like, Taz wanted the belt, and he was really being a pain about it. So they just made him a belt and gave him the belt to like shut him up. So that's kind of the story of that's a lineage of that belt.
All right. I'm not saying that's in play here, but it just looks like I mean, they keep putting Seth Rollins in the spotlight. So
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, are they going to give him the belt? On the other hand, if Damian Priest wrestles a great match and he is capable of it, maybe beating Seth Rollins is a great real coming out party for Damian Priest, especially if he can do it clean without the Judgment Day.
Right.
But everything's, I'm with you. I'd like to see Damian Priest retain.
Yeah, it would be cool.
All right, what's next up here on the WWE.com list here of matches? It's the 6-man tag, and we're not sure which 3 of the Bloodline are going to be in the match. I imagine both Tongas will be there, Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. This one here and that one there. Jacob Fatu or Solo Sikoa is going to be the other entrant for that team against Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes. What do you expect from this match? Who do you see winning?
Bloodline.
Okay.
Got to keep the ball rolling with the new Bloodline. I don't think you can make them look weak. And they can always kind of cheat to win. I feel like this is Bloodline.
Okay, I get the same impression. I'd like to see the Bloodline win this because unless Solo's not involved, if it's the other 3 guys, then I could see the baby faces winning it.
Yes. If Solo's in it, then Bloodline. If not, then you're probably looking at it could be like a coin flip.
Yeah, because we're too early in Bloodline 2.0 for there to be dissension in the ranks.
Yeah.
Solo's just been, feated as the new tribal chief by the other 3 guys. So yeah, I think Bloodline should win this one. This will be a fun match, though. Everybody in this match can go.
For sure.
Up next, the men's Money in the Bank. Not as much star power in this one as in this one, I don't think. I look at this match and I'm saying process of elimination. Andrade, no. Yep. Carmelo Hayes, no. It's too soon for each of them, one being back in WWE, one being on the main roster recently. Drew is a star. I could see him winning it. Former champion. Jey Uso, way over as a babyface. Former record-holding tag team champion. I can see him winning it. LA Knight, never had a title, but way over and has had titles in other promotions. He looks like he could win it. He almost won it last year, and the crowd was going nuts when they thought he was going to win it. And then Damian Priest choke-slammed him off the ladder. Chad Gable's maybe the most intriguing one here. He's done such great work as a character recently over on Raw. Of course, he's an excellent athlete, and he'd be the kind of guy who could cash in the belt and just, tie someone up in knots and beat them very quickly as they're already like wounded animal.
Yeah.
So I think there's 4 guys here who could take it. These 2, I think, will be entertaining in the match, but I can't see them winning it. So it's down to these 4. I, of course, would like to see LA Knight win it, only because I think that would mean that they're really behind him as being in the title picture. However, I'm going to hedge my bet there and say I don't think LA Knight needs Money in the Bank. And I wonder if it would actually taint his babyface run if his first title win came when he just like went over and like picked a dead carcass of someone who had already had a match.
Yeah, and not to hop around too much, but a sports entertainment guy, he agrees with us with the Bloodline. He thinks Cody Rhodes could turn heel.
Ooh,
which would be really cool because
Cody Rhodes joining the Bloodline.
That would be
just
wild.
Turning heel on the other 2 guys.
Yeah, just a general heel turn in general might do him pretty good, actually.
Wow, you heard it here first, live in the chat on Don't Bury the Lead. Thank you for the great chat comment there. Hey, something else to look for. What say you, John, about this match, men's Money in the Bank?
I think there's going to be. I think it's a great breakdown. 2 of the guys aren't going to win it, and you can see them on the right-hand side. The other 4 have a puncher shot. I wonder. It looks like they're really leaning into uh Uso winning it.
Okay.
Jay. Because it already is on the graphic and everything. It says "Yeet" in the bank and everything like that. So it looks like they're like really hinting that he'll win it. If LA Knight, I would want LA Knight to win it, but I think it's going to be one of these weird things. If LA Knight wins it, he's going to cash in on Logan Paul rather than the real champ. So that's always one of those things where if you get the money in the bank, why wouldn't you just cash it in and get the real championship?
Yeah.
Like, duh. But we'll see.
All right, let's combine predictions here. If
My
Cody Rhodes turns heel,
right,
then does that set it up for a babyface to have money in the bank and cash in on Cody?
Yeah, it would be one way or the other. Right?
Okay, there's a lot of fantasy booking there, but that's a fun one.
What was your prediction?
I said I'd like to see LA Knight win it, and maybe I hedged a little there.
Yeah, I'm LA Knight. I think
LA Knight's my favorite guy in this match.
Yeah,
but I'd almost like to see him come to his first title sort of fair and square and not like this, especially if he's going to stay babyface. I think. I wonder if Drew McIntyre would be the best guy to take it. Only because he lost the belt via Money in the Bank, and now it can only almost be like Drew McIntyre's revenge tour. With apologies to the Liv Morgan revenge tour. Like Drew McIntyre got screwed out of finally winning the big belt at WrestleMania in front of a live crowd. Like they finally did it, and he got screwed out of it by someone cashing in Money in the Bank. And wouldn't it be something if Drew McIntyre now won Money in the Bank and could hold that over people's heads for the next year?
Right.
That could be cool.
Drew
I'm
McIntyre
going to switch
would be
mine.
a really good. Would be a good Money in the Bank. He would be a good heel to have it, right? I have one more chat that came through. I want to just pop up and maybe you can respond.
Very good. Keep them coming. We love getting feedback in the chat as we're live streaming. Chad Gable is like shrug, but what would happen if Wyatt 6 comes out? He's been in a program tangentially with the Wyatt 6 with Bo Dallas's Uncle Howdy faction over on Raw. So yeah, that would be some. What if the Wyatt 6 has been sort of attacking Chad Gable? What if in Money in the Bank, the Wyatt 6 comes out and somehow helps Chad Gable win Money in the Bank? What about that? What say you as that for a possibility? There are scenarios involved where I could see Chad Gable being a great guy to hold that Money in the Bank briefcase because he is really good at the heel shtick. And I think the Money in the Bank works really well with a heel because it almost adds drama to it. Like, oh my goodness, Money in the Bank is kind of a dastardly thing to do. And so if a heel has it, it makes more sense. So yeah, if Chad Gable gets Money in the Bank, then he'd be a neat tweenerish leaning towards heel person to have the belt. I like that. A great comment again, Sports Entertainment. Yes. Let's go women's Money in the Bank ladder match. What do you expect from this one? Of the people involved in this, Io Sky won it last year. I think almost by default, she can't win it 2 years in a row. Lyra Valkyria, whose name I think I'm finally pronouncing correctly, she got a good push against Nia Jax at one of the premium live events and wrestled pretty well. I don't know if she's just ready yet. Naomi seems like a B-level wrestler, not an A-level wrestler. I don't think she gets it. Zoe Stark would be intriguing because she has that heel streak to her. She's very athletic. She looks like she could go. My two favorites to take this are Tiffany Stratton, only because I think she's of the non-Io Sky people here, and maybe even including Io Sky, I think she's the most talented, most highly skilled of the 6 in this match, and she would be great to have Money in the Bank there because I think she is main event quality even this early in her main roster career. And because of what Money in the Bank is, if Chelsea Green somehow wins this, I think she would be brilliant with it.
Yes.
She would be genius at having the Money in the Bank briefcase with her at all times. She'd be annoying. She'd have Piper Niven doing her dirty work for her. I think the right-hand side of this graphic here for us, I think that's where I want to see most of it happen. I'll take either one of these two. If you want to make it Zoe Stark because you think she's ready as a heel to have this belt, then maybe it's this half here on a diagonal. These three will be entertaining, especially Io, but I'm really looking here. If I had to pick one, Tiffy time. If I had to pick one, Tiffy time. Especially since if Nia Jax, who is aligned with her, winds up winning the belt at SummerSlam, it now puts tension into that team there.
Yeah.
Would Tiffy cash in on her on the person who's been sort of her bodyguard as of late? I'm going to say Tiffy time, although Chelsea Green would not be disappointing. And although I can't figure out the storyline with it, I'm not averse to seeing Io Sky win anything. She can win anything she wants. So, but I'm going to pick one of these two. I'll say Tiffy with Chelsea Green as a 1A. What say you? And did I overtalk that one?
No, you're good. I'm kind of in the same boat with you with Tiffany Stratton. It feels like they've got her positioned as a heel, even though she could easily be a face.
Mm-hmm.
She is one of these people where I would say Tiffany Stratton is just, it seems like they're strapping a rocket to her, and at the end of the day, she's good enough to strap a rocket to. She's been really good. She's been probably the most impressive person from NXT, and there's been a bunch that have come up that are like either meh or they're like, need a little work, or they're doing okay, thinking like Grayson Waller, Cameron Grimes, there's a Carmelo Hayes.
In the men's
there's just there's so many meh people that I feel like Tiffany Stratton's the one that's like, whoa, okay, they got something with her. So, from my end, I say it's Tiffany Stratton, and we have one prediction from the chat, which I'll include.
Yes. Not sure these competitors, but spoilers, Chelsea Green is the next Money in the Bank. All right. So another person intrigued by Chelsea Green having this briefcase. It's for the way that Chelsea would really take to having the briefcase. Not necessarily finally cashing in the briefcase and possibly winning, but just what she would do having the briefcase. She would be an even more insufferable diva than she already is. That would be fun. Yes. That leaves us with one match that we both sort of talked about already, Intercontinental Championship, Sami Zayn versus Braun Breaker. I wonder if Braun Breaker is ready. This is a one-on-one match for a title belt. Neither one of these guys seems to have a faction or teammates or a lot of run-ins happening. So this might just be a great one-on-one match. Let's pin each other down here to a selection, John. What say you? Who wins this match? You wanted to do predictions. We got to do predictions.
Sami Zayn. Braun
Sami
Breaker.
Zayn wins it. Okay.
Braun Breaker, he can't have a title yet. He can't have
not ready yet.
He can't have the Intercontinental Championship. And maybe it's one of these things where there's no shame in losing a title match your first 3 or 4 months into the WWE main roster. He's young. It would be tough to see him have the belt, especially when you have guys like Chad Gable's lost to Sami Zayn. He's a more polished, for sure, at least from what I've seen from Braun Breaker, who's just done squashes. He's a very polished wrestler that the crowd seems to be into, whether they're booing him or cheering him, Chad Gable. And so I think it's Sami Zayn, and it's not. I'd be surprised if Braun Breaker wins it, and it's not such a bad thing if he loses. He's super young. We've only seen him do squashes, and it'll get him some pay-per-view time at a young age. Hey, he's got the genetics for sure. He's Rick Steiner's son, and he's gotten called up pretty early here. I know he's done a lot of stuff in NXT, and people have been excited about him. How about you? What are you thinking, Dom?
The more I look at this, the more I think it would be a very WWE thing to have Braun Breaker win it.
Yeah.
And almost in like Goldberg surprise spearing Brock Lesnar fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could see this almost being like Sami Zayn takes off the belt, takes off the rope, turns around, and Breaker just spears him in half and pins him in 15 seconds. Like I think every possibility is on the table here. And I'm gonna say, maybe just to make it fun, since you said Sammy, I'll say Braun.
Oh, so we're thinking differently. Maybe Braun.
I'm thinking Braun wins it.
It feels like a little bit that they have a plan for Braun Breaker, and when they have plan for guys, they kind of stick with them. Mm-hmm. So, he comes in, he does some squashes, give him a belt, and they'll move on from here. We got another comment, so
that's what I said in last 6 comments. Don't forget, Braun Breaker is mad. I really don't want. He will spear right to his guts. Sami Zayn is one of my favorite wrestlers. He does everything well. In fact, every time I see somebody do a really great sell that's not a just kick your feet out and land on your back, I've taken to calling it a Sami Zayn bump. That's how good he is, where, things that are unusually awesome, I refer to as, that's a Sami Zayn fill in the blank. But yeah, I could see Braun Breaker winning this.
For sure. And it's going to be one of these things too, where if Braun Breaker wins it, man, they're really thinking highly of him, right? Right out of the NXT, doing a couple squashes, and then give him a belt, the IC belt, which has had quite the prestige the last couple of years with Gunther and Sami Zayn having it.
Yep. Gunther sort of grew into it, though. I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of people when Gunther beat Ricochet back in June of 2022 who were wondering, is this guy ready?
Yeah.
And then he sort of proved himself while he had the belt.
With Gunther, though, I think there were some people saying, is this guy ready? But if you hadn't watched any of Gunther's work in NXT UK, the Indies, you were like, yep, this dude's ready. He's that good, because he's fantastic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Any other more matches here for Money in the Bank?
That's it. That's 5 of them, since 2 of them are going to be kind of long. It's your standard 5-match WWE Premium Live event. One of our favorite gimmicks, the Money in the Bank, is going to be part of it for both men's and women's. Some of our favorite wrestlers are going to be there. Some are notable by their absence, of course, because it's only 5 matches. Everybody can't be in there. But we're seeing LA Knight. We're seeing Sami Zayn. We're seeing Jey Uso. We're seeing Damian Priest. So a lot of the guys that I've been watching pretty closely since we've started Don't Bury the Lead, I think, are here. And maybe we're into the Italian goodbye, although that's from last week's. Do you want Italian goodbye, or do you want to say a quick goodbye here and watch the main event of SmackDown and then enjoy the weekend?
Well, Dom, I'll tell you what, we have some people on here.
We do.
I wanted to just say, we have a couple people watching right now. So I just wanted to say thanks so much, Sports Entertainment Guy, for hanging in and giving us some great comments throughout the prediction part. You're awesome. I'll definitely go check out your page, brother. And then there's other people that have been on here for a while, and they sat through the entire prediction. So really appreciate y'all coming out.
Do you have some predictions for us?
Yeah, if you guys have other predictions for Money in the Bank, let us know, the people that are still watching. I wanted to say one thing, Dom, because I forgot something, and I would like to include it later. Shane McMahon going to AEW. And we talked a lot about how Shane McMahon could potentially go to AEW. He could wrestle for AEW, or he can be a part of AEW in some way, shape, or
Part
form.
of GP, yes.
But there's another idea I had. What if Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon are positioning themselves to purchase AEW? So are they going to buy some stock of AEW? Maybe they own a certain percentage. Maybe they buy the whole thing outright, because Vince is sitting on a lot of cash, right?
He is
So
sitting on a lot of cash.
maybe that's the direction that they're thinking.
We've circled back to Cheap Heat here. When the WWE has purchased other companies in the past, it's because they had a lot of leverage over them. I don't know that Tony Khan needs to sell.
Yeah.
This seems like a labor of love for Tony Khan. He doesn't need AEW to be wildly profitable. He doesn't seem to need the infusion of cash that bringing on a partner would do. It does not appear to be a publicly traded company. I haven't heard
it's privately
to bring the company public as well. So I think the fact that Tony doesn't need to sell puts that in a much lower chance of happening.
Yeah. Here's a thought for you, though.
Okay.
The money that he has is not really his.
It's
Papa Shad's.
Shad Khan, right?
It's Shad's money. So maybe if Shad sees a 1.5 billion offer from the McMahons or something around that number, I saw in Forbes, it was, and who knows how realistic this isn't, but Forbes magazine had it pegged at a $2 billion evaluation, where WWE was like 7 or 8 billion. Yep. So this would be an interesting thing that maybe Vince would be interested in purchasing, and maybe if the purchase is out there, Papa Khan says, we're taking the money, kid, and you're either going to work for them or because I'm sure at this point, here's the thing about billionaires, Dom, they like money. So they don't really like to lose money. So it is interesting, though, with Shane and Vince and Tony in this conversation. They have more money than anybody could ever need. It's crazy.
Yeah. So, which is why they do things like start wrestling companies and buy football teams.
Right.
You might as well invest it into something, especially entertainment-wise, that you can provide a product to other people.
Yes.
And the McMahons are in a weird situation. Vince really being quote unquote forced into unloading a lot of his stock. Billionaires typically don't have a lot of money.
Yes.
Their wealth comes from the fact that they own stakes in very successful businesses.
Right.
Like Jeff Bezos doesn't have billions of dollars in cash under his mattress or even in a bank account somewhere. Same with Elon Musk. They don't have cash sitting around.
Yes.
Their wealth comes from the fact that they own businesses. Vince McMahon was kind of kicked out. He was sued, canned, and canceled from the business that he owned. So his wealth is sitting around, maybe in cash and maybe getting antsy.
Yeah. He's going to do something. He's not going to go away, right? So unless he goes away to jail.
you wonder, because especially since Vince did not leave on his terms. Right? When especially powerful people who are used to getting their way, don't leave on their terms, then there's always that itch there.
Yeah.
Like Ric Flair, when Shawn Michaels retired him from WWE, Vince was trying to force Rick out. Rick really didn't leave on his own terms, and Rick kept popping up in other places.
Yeah, that's right.
On the other hand, Sting left on his terms. I imagine Sting just stays retired.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's a good point. We have one more question that came through during the Italian Goodbye. I'm going to pop up here because I think you said any more questions.
If Drew McIntyre could go after Money in the Bank, what would happen if CM Punk comes back? They have that feud ready made. You know, there you can have more than one thing happening at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
Damian Priest won Money in the Bank, and there were still big things going on with Judgment Day, and they've turned Damian Priest winning Money in the Bank and then cashing in and becoming champion into something that's still interesting with Judgment Day. So I don't think Drew McIntyre winning Money in the Bank means that CM Punk is out, because then CM Punk could be, you know, like constantly pestering the guy who's got the Money in the Bank briefcase. Imagine Drew McIntyre going out to cash in Money in the Bank and CM Punk foiling him trying to cash in Money in the Bank.
yeah, you would set up this awesome blood feud, right?
Where CM Punk just keeps preventing Drew McIntyre from handing him the briefcase.
Yeah, and he just
I could see that absolutely happening.
Yeah, they both just become obsessed with each other. It's
Yeah.
actually kind of developing into a good. You could develop it even more into a better rivalry.
Yes. So I think it could happen even if Drew wins. I think Drew winning Money in the Bank does not eliminate his blood feud here with CM Punk.
Yeah.
And I call it blood feud because if you've seen Drew McIntyre's avatar over on X, Twitter, it's a bloody CM Punk lying on the mat.
Hey, we are, kind of coming here to the Italian goodbye, but we have 4 people on YouTube, Dom, if you want to hang around.
Sure. Do they have anything interesting they'd like us to talk about?
Yeah. Let us know what you guys think about Money in the Bank. What's your favorite match you're looking forward to? And if you are looking forward to your favorite match, let us know who you think is going to win.
I got the card up there if you want to throw the Money in the Bank share up there and the Money in the Bank.
This is the Italian goodbye for sure, where we're like, let's talk about what we were talking about before.
Yes, we're circling back to Money in the Bank. Yeah, there's the card you can see on the screen. If you want to scroll through, there it is. Damian Priest, Seth Rollins. We said we'd like to see Damian Priest retain there and predict so. We said we want to see the Bloodline win this. The only way the Bloodline could lose this is if Solo Sikoa is not one of the 3 on their team. If Solo's one of the 3, I don't think Bloodline 2.0 can lose this early.
And hey, sports entertainment guy, thanks for all the comments. It really appreciate it if you like and subscribe, and you can always catch us. We were here Friday nights, and I'll definitely check out your channel and subscribe as well. So really appreciate you hanging in there. But sorry, go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, no, that was it. And I was going to mention that he had brought up in the chat that maybe Cody Rhodes turns heel here. Wouldn't that be something?
Yes, if Cody Rhodes turns heel, that would be really cool.
Men's Money in the Bank, we said it's kind of these 2 are going to be entertaining in the match, but Carmelo Hayes and Andrade are not winning this. I think I'd like to see Drew win it. I think it'd be really interesting. LA Knight's my favorite guy in this, but I don't think he needs the Money in the Bank briefcase to be in the title picture. I would not be disappointed in Jey Uso or Chad Gable winning it. So these 4 here, I would not be disappointed. I think Drew having the Money in the Bank is the best storyline, simply because he got cashed in on, and because with him still being kind of heelish, Money in the Bank is almost a heel thing. So I say Drew. You sort of said Drew as well, but you'd like to see LA Knight.
Yeah.
Women, we both would like to see Tiffany Stratton. We would not be disappointed in Chelsea Green because she'd be genius with it. Of course, I'd never be disappointed in Io Sky winning something. I just don't think they're going to do it 2 years in a row. And of course, here, Sami Zayn. I never seen a bad Sami Zayn match, and I hope this is not the first bad Sami Zayn match I see. You say Sami Zayn. I say I think they're gonna roll the dice with Braun Breaker.
Yeah, no.
And the question is going to be how they do it, because I have no idea how they're going to do it. If they're going to have Braun Breaker squash him, if they're going to have Braun Breaker finally have a great match and prevail, or they're going to have him have a great match and have Sami Zayn win. I mean, there's 3 possibilities, because Sami's not winning in a squash. It's either Sami Zayn wins a long, drawn-out, excellent match, Braun Breaker wins a long, drawn-out, excellent match, or Braun Breaker wins a surprise squash with a spear.
A squash would be horrible. So, but I could see it happening the way they've been booking them. The only thing is with Breaker versus Zayn, Sami Zayn is the guy they just love to screw. Like he was wrestling guys at Jackass. He should have won the belt against Roman Reigns. I will go to my grave with that one. I think he should have been the guy that won the belt that night. And they didn't give it to him. They waited forever and gave it to Cody. So
you get no argument for me there. I mean, those were I was with you at that Elimination Chamber 2023 in Montreal. That if anyone was going to make us think that they were going to derail the Roman Reigns long drawn out story and the Cody Rhodes story, it was Sami Zayn, especially on that night. Yeah. So Sami, you might be my favorite, but I think Braun. I think they're going to put the belt on Braun and Braun Breaker and see what he can do here.
Yeah, I wonder, is Breaker a heel?
They've tried to make him a heel, but then he's a tweener. Like, he's feuding with Sami Zayn, but he's also feuding with Ludwig Kaiser.
Oh God, okay.
And so he's the heel going into this match, but you could see him winning this, and the crowd suddenly, not that they're turning on Sami Zayn, but just that they're going, okay, we're along for the ride. Braun Breaker's an exciting young wrestler.
Yeah.
It would be very much like Io Sky. Io Sky was supposed to be a heel when she won Money in the Bank. And she was doing heel things, but then she kept getting cheers. And when she finally cashed in, the crowd erupted.
Yes.
Title belts and title switches have a way of changing the audience's perception of wrestlers, right?
Right.
It can happen. So they've so far positioned Braun as a tweener. And if he wins the belt, I think he could go either way. I think they could have him lean into being, this guy who just takes underhanded routes and like spears people after the bell and beats people down after the match or even before matches. Or they could have him be just this, real badass guy that the crowd is behind, and he's just, defeating people because he's a better wrestler and a better athlete. So it could go either way.
Yeah.
But you say Sami, my heart's with Sami, but I just have this inkling that they're gonna strap the rocket to Braun Breaker and see what he can do with the belt.
Yeah, let's mosey on down to the Italian Goodbye, Dom. Maybe you could give a little breakdown of what our channel is, how people can find us, remind them to subscribe, those fun
Sure,
things.
If you're watching on Twitch, if you're watching on X, Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate every place that you find us in the live stream. But if you want the mother load of our content, it's over at the YouTube channel. That's where all of these live streams go to get archived. You can click the live tab there and you'll see all of these full shows. That's also where you see sometimes breakout segments like Cheap Heat segments or the Lead, the Follow, Thumb Drive segments. John also does these great edited clips that he produces, and also the shorts, which are the 60-second and under clips that go on YouTube. So the mother load of all of our variety of content is over at YouTube. Subscribe there if you can. I'm going to take a look at it now. Let's see. We are up to 664 subscribers at the moment, making our way to our next big benchmark. We are close to 3,000 watch hours as well. So, hey, this is a lot of fun to do. John and I would do it even if a few people were watching, even if no one was watching live. In fact, that's how it was when we started it. But it adds something to it when, like today during the live stream, we get people jumping into the chat, sending us comments, real-time feedback. We love it. We enjoy when people find the stuff on YouTube and get into the comment section and not only share us their thoughts, but also do back and forth with each other. We've had sort of little communities of people who watch our stuff, really get into some cool discussions with each other, even if our channel official isn't involved in responding there. So we enjoy that other people enjoy the content. We're interested in it, and we're glad that other people are interested in it. So find us. Don't Bury the Lead, a wrestling channel. In fact, I've got us up there on the shared screen at the moment.
Oh, there's
our channel. Don't Bury the Lead. We're at 664 subscribers at the moment, 516. If you're watching us live right now, this is it. Hey there. I could almost click that right now and have the Spaceballs thing where they find that where are we in the movie now? We're at now in the movie now. And they're just watching themselves to infinity on their own screen. So I will not click that. Also, because I don't want our channel to get a strike from ourselves when we sue ourselves for copyright for playing our own video on our channel. So we're not going to do that either. But yeah, there we are. Don't bury the lead, a wrestling channel. That's us. We do the lead, the follow, the thumb drive, Cheap Heat, and every now and then, since parting is such sweet sorrow, we do the Italian goodbye.
Yes. So to anybody that's new that's watching, we do what we call an Italian goodbye. So we start to say goodbye, but then we just keep talking, and then sometimes we get a whole segment out of it. So this is the Italian goodbye here.
There we go. Here's some of our best of 2024 so far. Stephanie McMahon, Sami Zayn, an injury at a house show, Dirty Dominic Mysterio getting booed at his wedding. That's what you get for inviting your coworkers. They got the crowd to boo him. Of course, our best of 2023 involving The Rock and his movies and coming back to WWE for what turned out to be an excellent run. Tony Khan and the CM Punk controversy, and of course, LA Knight and some of the controversy as to, was he getting pushed too fast, too soon? The book is still has some chapters to be written there, but I don't think he's been pushed too fast, too soon. If anything, I think they're slow playing it, and he still has room to grow. So check out our best ofs on the YouTube channel.
That's when he shot on Kevin Nash.
Yes. Kevin Nash was kind of needling him there.
Yeah.
For his persona. So we've got plenty of videos, clips from SmackDown, shorts. This Liv Morgan one blew up, over 9,000 views. Thank you to everybody who's jumped on some of this stuff. We're having a blast. We would do this even if people weren't watching, but the fact that people are watching just makes it cooler. And if you are watching, we invite you to participate. Subscribe so you can get alerts from us. Find us on the live stream so you can jump in like Sports Entertainment Bug is doing now. Find us on the channel so that you can leave comments for us with your thoughts. We do like to read them. Leave the kind of comments that are YouTube acceptable so that we don't have to hide them, get rid of them to avoid strikes on the channel. You know, it's YouTube. They got their, hang-ups about stuff. So
no slurs, no racial slurs.
Yeah, no slurs. We've tried to play by their rules with not playing other videos during our videos and stuff. So
Sports Entertainment guy said, "Gotta love Italians," and that's
there you go. Hey, there we go.
Yeah,
we start saying goodbye. If you're leaving a party by 10, you have to start saying goodbye no later than 9:30. You will not get out the door before 10 if you haven't started the goodbye at 9:30. That's where this segment came from, is the fact that I Italian goodbye everybody all the time. I can't help it. I did it to John, our very first live stream, and I just kept doing it until we finally made a joke out of it. And then when we made official segments to our live streams, we made it an official segment.
We just call it the Italian goodbye, and I know it's not going to end. And I'm like, I got to go to the bathroom. You tell them about the thing, and then I come back, and they're like, "Oh, what'd you do for the fireworks? Oh, what'd you do there?" And then suddenly it's a new conversation. What did you do for the fireworks, Dom? Anything? Anything?
I have done nothing for fireworks. We had fireworks in my town in early June for our Clayton Day. I have not done any fireworks around Independence Day. I hear there are some in neighboring towns around here in southern New Jersey. Some still planned for the weekend. I'm sure that they're being planned for things like baseball stadiums. Whoever's got a home series this weekend is doing fireworks at some point. I am not a big fireworks guy.
No.
It may be cloudy around here this weekend, so it may not be really good fireworks watching weather in southern New Jersey around here. We're getting some thunderstorms.
You're not like the big bangs.
I don't mind the big bangs. I mean, I used to think that fireworks were happening around here, and then later people would tell me, "Did you hear about the gunshots? A few blocks over." I was like, "No, but I heard some fireworks last night." And they're like, "This, do not. Those were gunshots." I'm like, "Oh, I thought people were being festive. I didn't know."
Yeah. I lived in Philadelphia for 12 years, so we would always do gunshot or firework.
Oh, it was a good game, right?
Yeah, gunshot or firework. Sometimes it was the guns. There's a lot of gunfire in that city. So
Sure.
but there was also a lot of fireworks because people just love blowing stuff up. So, whenever you're packed in like that, you have to figure it out.
It happens. Well, we have live streamed completely through SmackDown tonight. I wonder if anything happened on SmackDown that will have a hand in tomorrow night, July 6th, Money in the Bank premium live event. I wonder if maybe something happened with the Bloodline and Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Kevin Owens that may have given us the answer to our question: who will be involved in that match for the Bloodline? Which 3 of their 4 will be involved in that? Was there anything else happening from on the women's side or the men's side that may affect the Money in the Bank matches? Those rosters, of course, are set. So that'll be interesting. I'll go back and see some of the clips to that and see maybe what happened tonight on SmackDown. But I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank Saturday evening, originating from Toronto. Last night, Thursday, apparently was Sami Zayn's Comedy with Friends at some theater in Toronto. We covered that on Cheap Heat in previous weeks.
Right.
I wonder how that turned out.
Yeah, right.
But I wonder if Braun Breaker showed up and speared Sami Zayn during his comedy show.
Well, Tom, I'll tell you what. I kind of want to get this video out for the preview and punch that out tonight, so
Excellent
that way
work.
we have the we can get some views on the Money in the Bank. Now you guys are getting inside baseball, how we set everything up.
There you go.
So we'll post this video once you do a live stream like this and we go off. It doesn't get pushed to anyone, so we could take the chunk of talking about the Money in the Bank preview. We'll make a video out of that and push it out, and then we make other edited videos from the Cheap Heat. So all the stuff we're talking about during Cheap Heat, we'll make videos for and make. That's really what Pat has carried our channel. So Tom, in doing that, I just wanted to say thank you. It looks like we still have 2 people hanging on here, and I think one of them is the sports entertainment guy. Please, sports entertainment guy, please subscribe to our channel. So once you subscribe to our channel, I'll go ahead and subscribe to yours, and we'll keep the whole thing going.
Do you have a channel? Let us. That'd be cool to see what kind of stuff he does on his channel. I don't have access to the chat here, but if he is
cool.
a YouTuber himself.
Yeah, let's see here. It's let me see. So let me see if I can't find him.
Sports entertainment guy. Does he have a channel? We'll give you a late plug here. What do you have a content creation channel on YouTube?
Oh, I got him right here. New subscriber. Yeah, okay. I could drop it in the chat here, Dom.
I have stopped my screen share. If you want to bring up on your end, you can do that.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Give me a sec here. If I share. I can share my window. All right, can you see it here?
I can. Oh, he does have a channel there. Very nice.
Yeah, so we subscribe to you, brother, and it sounded like he's just starting out. So hey, any advice or anything you want from us, let us know.
Yeah, there
And
you
the biggest
go.
advice I can give you is press record and set up some sort of schedule. Like me and Dom, we do the shows every Friday night after the bell. You're not going to get any viewers when you first start, so don't beat yourself up over it. Just keep making the videos, keep improving the videos, and you'll start to see subscribers come in, and you'll start to see views come in. So I'm wishing you the best of luck. And you seem like you know a lot about wrestling, which is helpful.
Yeah, I see something up there on your created playlist that said Ricochet on it. Ricochet, he's between jobs at the moment, as they say.
Uh-huh. Well, this is really cool. Appreciate you guys hanging in. And Dom, uh, thanks so much for your time, man. This was a really interesting one, and this actually is making me think maybe we should do preview shows for pay-per-views. But let's just see. Um, you know, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And my name is Jonathan Dell. This is Dom Scarcella. Dom, again, thanks so much.
Mhm.
And everyone, have a great rest of your